what happened is that we recently did a major investigative report taking a look at a company from Boise that invested $4 million in a new business in Ontario, Oregon, which is in Malheur County, on the promise of getting a 5-year property tax break. That promise, the company says, was made by Malheur County officials. And as we investigated, it turns out that the company apparently is not qualified for that tax break and has been trying for months to learn its status. As we pressed the county officials to explain that, Greg Smith and his assistant didn't return phone calls, wouldn't provide information. So we reached out as any professional reporter would do. Pat Caldwell, our reporter on this, sent emails to the county with questions, 2 sets of questions. On a Saturday, when I was editing a very sensitive story, I sent emails to both Greg Smith and his assistant to remind them that this story was coming, that probably wouldn't be very flattering, and we wanted to give them every opportunity to respond to the information. That apparently has prompted a complaint to the county sheriff, Brian Wolfe, that a reporting method has somehow crossed the line into criminal conduct, which is rather astonishing. The complaint is that we have been contacting county officials, quote unquote, at all hours of the day, and that we've been at personal cell phones used by public officials, which we have not done. When Greg Smith finally responded in a statement after our story published, he notified us that he had been instructed or directed to turn over emails to the Malheur County Sheriff, Brian Wolfe. Pat Caldwell then contacted the sheriff, who confirmed the contact, who would not go into any detail, but said that he'd been asked by the county council, which is essentially the county's in-house attorney, to consider whether the enterprise had engaged in criminal conduct. It is pretty clear that Greg Smith, the County Economic Development Director, is doing everything he can to avoid telling the truth to the public about his agency. And he has resorted to this tactic of asking for an investigation or an assessment or whatever semantic you want to use as a way to divert attention from his agency's conduct, and is clearly an effort to intimidate a small locally owned news organization. And that is, in this day and age in the United States of America, that sort of intimidation just cannot stand. Contentious? Well, he would consider it so, and we've had to fight very hard to get public records from his agency. We've had to wait days and weeks to get 4 or 5, 6, 10 pages of material. So, look, our job is to ask questions, to seek information about government conduct, and sometimes public officials don't like that. And I'm sorry about that, but that's our job, and they have a duty to tell the public the truth about how they're using government power and public money. Pat Caldwell talked with Brian Wolfe last Tuesday or Wednesday. Then the sheriff was out of town for several days. We understand other media organizations have been trying to get to him this week, and he has not responded. So we'll continue to reach out to find the status of whether there's an investigation and whether we need to be prepared for some serious repercussions. The sheriff and his deputies may be trying to interview our staff. Another concern of ours, frankly, is that if they do initiate an active criminal investigation, that they would seek a judge's authorization to execute search warrants on the news organization. And that's very troubling, that law enforcement would come into a news organization and rummage through computers and very sensitive files. The Malheur Enterprise is a 109-year-old weekly operating in Malheur County, which is one of the most sparsely populated counties in Oregon. It's a very poor county. It's literally in another time zone from the rest of the state. Most people have never even heard of the Malheur Enterprise. And so, waking up this morning and logging on and checking and seeing that the Washington Post had a story about us on their homepage was really kind of a stunning development. what's next for us is that we continue to do our reporting. The county has assured us that we're going to get a batch of public records about the story that started all of this property tax credit. So we'll continue to report on that. And then we'll report as much as the county officials will tell us about where matters stand. Are they opening an investigation? Have they decided there is no criminal conduct? Have they questioned Greg Smith about his statements to them to verify that what he is telling them is true? But look, at the end of the day, we have a small news staff with a huge county, important stories to pursue, and that's what we're going to do.